May 8th, 6 p.m. or at 6:01 p.m. Roll call. We have Jeffrey, Ellen, Patrick for a quorum. Marcy, you get everybody else that's in attendance.
Reps,
Sorry?
the reps,
No reps.
the administration.
Yeah, this is gonna get everybody else that's on.
Yep.
Okay.
And me. Oh, yeah, sorry.
Is he going? Make a motion for approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Second. All approved?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? None, motion passed. We'll make a motion for approval of the minutes.
So moved.
Second. Sorry. All approved. All in favor, thank you, that's the word I'm looking for, all in favor. All right. Anybody opposed? None, motion passed. Public participation.
We do have a few people who have called in, but I believe there's a part of Dean's presentation.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. So there's no one on the public line that would like to say anything.
That's not.
Be no, so we'll forego that. All right, we'll start with you, Rachel. Technology, social media update.
Okay. So. I went back to Facebook this month after a little bit of account struggles. If Jason was here, he'd be able to speak to them because he was experiencing them with me. But I was able to get access to all the Facebooks again, and we were able to go through and get some insights. We did the top posts again. And this time I'm trying something a little bit different. So I did like a little blurb for each school or each location rather. Just, making a comment either about what was done well or what could potentially improve the reach of each school. If you want to take the time to look through them, if you have any questions, please let me know. At the bottom, I did make one final recommendation for all of the locations. And I'm thinking that if we post our content on multiple platforms and we link them back to the Facebook, it's going to increase our Facebook traffic. So for example, I see a lot of flyers get posted on Facebook. If we were to post them on Parent Square and say, for more information, please see the Facebook post with a link, we're sending our traffic back to Facebook. We're increasing our reach, more likes, and then even just mentioning the word share, please share on your page. That way we can get the word out there. Because if you're sharing and you're posting it to your Facebook feed, then all your friends are going to see it, and so on and so forth. So that will definitely help, especially with like fundraisers and things of that sort, just getting the word out there. Are there any questions?
Which do you find to be a better representation of engagement? Is it Parent Square or Facebook?
It depends. So the flyers, I get more reactions, I feel, on Parent Square. And maybe that's just simply because it's just such a concise feed. You're not flooded with ads and your friends' posts and things like that. But Facebook, certain posts do well, like especially ones with photos of, the kids, everybody likes to see the cute kids and, see what they've accomplished and things like that. So it really depends.
Have we ever done a survey that asks parents, so we get an idea of what that reach is, what percentage of our parents actually have a Facebook account?
I have never done a survey on
I
that.
was just curious.
Yeah.
A lot of times the Parent Square is great because you get all the reactions, we know it gets there.
Right.
I wasn't sure if you knew about how many people we have of an audience that are actually parents. And Facebook has a greater reach, which is got its own use.
Right.
But I wasn't sure what percentage of our parents actually use and engage on Facebook, or if we knew.
I'm not sure of a percentage, and I mean, to do that, you'd have to look through everybody who's following the page and determine whether they're a parent or not, or send out some sort of survey.
Maybe we could put in one of our surveys that we send out every year.
Yeah.
Might be useful, maybe not. That's
Absolutely.
whatever you guys think.
Yeah, I do think, like I said, like Parent Square, it's a little more concise, you know, because you're only seeing information about your school or the district. But you know, Facebook is, like you said, a bigger reach, so it's still a good tool for certain things like the flyers and fundraisers and things of that sort. Any questions?
If we did a survey, are there other social media platforms that would be okay for us to use, like X or Snapchat? Or
So I know we do have a X account for the district as well as an Instagram. I don't believe there's much, if any, posts on it, but that's definitely something that the social media reps can pick up if that's what we want to do.
You can post those so easily now that
Right,
that's a great point.
right, and I'll bring that up to a point in one of my other topics that I have tonight about, you know,
Especially
bringing all these posts together.
you could have Facebook just go into Instagram.
Right, a lot of times you can just click like also share to Instagram or to this or to that, so it just one place you can post everywhere. Yep.
I've been told Facebook's for old people, so.
Well, I think, yeah,
Trying to see more, Mr. Vice Thank you.
I think Twitter's probably taken, or not Twitter, TikTok has probably taken over for this generation.
That's all other.
But yeah, I don't know if we want to go quite there. Any other questions?
All right. Move on to the next agenda item. Website update.
So this is also one of mine. This is, last time I mentioned that we were looking into getting a new inventory system. Sorry,
She knows.
taking that. Okay. So we're still in the works of implementing it. It's very, very granular on the back end, with data and the integration with the Google Admin Console and things of that sort. So I just wanted to share this flyer about a few of the features that it has. So it has this bi-directional Google Admin Console, so we can, you know, take a group of computers and switch their groups that they're in all at once, disable them all, wipe them all. It's really nice from a management standpoint. Instead of the admin console can be a little clunky and they tend to change it all the time. So it's not always easy to find what you're looking for. So this is kind of like a one-stop shop where you can see the device, who it's assigned to, even who, if it's like a communal device, who's last logged into it, things of that sort. We can wipe it. We can even change passwords. So it's really like I said, a one-stop shop when it comes to the integration with the Chromebooks. And then you can see also it will track repairs. And I know it says Chromebook a lot because it is Chromebook centric, but it does do other devices. So it will do the MacBooks, it will do iPads, things of that sort. So anyway, the repairs, track and diagnose each repair for its associated cost with Visor, that's the name of the program. Repair costs can be calculated and charged back to students or parents. So when you create a repair ticket, you can put in the repair that was made, if there is a cost associated with it, and it can automatically let parents and students know about those costs. A cool feature that I really liked in here that, you know, we may want to explore maybe in the future, is that it can also calculate depreciation. So for some of our older Chromebooks, you know, maybe we can set a level of depreciation so it's we're not charging like the same amount that we would for a brand new device that we have, things of that sort. So a lot of potential in this. And I just want to scroll down a bit here because it lists a few more features. So it has a really nice dashboard, which I'll probably share with you. I'm hoping next meeting, we'll have it up and working to the point where I can like show you an example of what it's going to look like on the user end. really nice dashboard that is very concise. Manage IT just, yeah, so such as, I was saying, it also does iPads and they're suggesting projectors and carts. So in the elementary schools, we do have carts. So we can assign carts to classrooms and then resources in those carts to students. So like I said, it can get very, very granular. Email notifications can be sent to students, families, and teachers when a device is due for return or ready to be picked up. Another thing that they mentioned to me was that we can set up email notifications to admins for repeat damages. So that's something that, you know, we're definitely looking into because of our current damage situation. Automatically disable lost or stolen devices. Keep costs under control, you know, things of that sort. And then there's also like a self-service portal. So if at some point we wanted to be able to let students check out resources on their own, they could walk up to a kiosk, scan the barcode, and it will scan the resource out to them. I know that was a lot of information. So any questions? I'm trying to be mindful of our presenter who's waiting.
I'll keep it to two questions. Does it support, I haven't seen the software in many years, admittedly, so I have seen a demo of it like 5 years ago, but can it handle our insurance plan? Like, can you put in tiers and say, this is a covered device?
They
This
told me
is-
that it can. We haven't gotten that far in the implementation yet, but they told me that it can, and it can also like track who hands in the forms
And then how many devices are we covering and approximately what's the cost for it?
of this pro.
Yeah, it's a per device license, I believe, isn't it?
Yeah, I believe it was about 10, I think it was 10 or just under 10,000.
For the-
For the whole, can't remember how many licenses I got, but I tried to get enough so that it would cover, you know, future purchase devices.
So for the year?
Yes,
Okay.
Um,
Subscription service, I remember.
yeah, but that includes everything. They have 24-hour support. Training is included as well. Implementation is included as well. There was no extra fees or anything like that.
Thank you.
Well,
And this is included in the budget for next year?
In Rachel's
We'll be
budget?
replacing the inventory that we currently have.
So it's accounted for.
Right.
It's just.
Yep. Yeah.
Thank you.
It's will pre-include the next meeting.
Yeah, it's a replacement. It's an upgrade compared to what we were
I like the
using.
extra credit though.
Thank you.
The one that we're using currently,
I think like you though.
the reporting features just aren't as great. It doesn't calculate costs. It won't invoice or alert families. So I think we kind of needed something a little more robust, especially with our protection plan situation. You know, we need kind of something that can do a little bit more.
I have one last quick question. It can sync with Power School, I saw,
Yes.
but to what extent, and I didn't get a chance to dig deep enough on it, but to what extent and how much student information does it sync? I'm gonna guess like student ID, first name, last name.
Right. And the school.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
yeah, I gotta ask one question. So is this proposal based upon our district that's attached to this?
This is,
That's the next item.
That's part of the website, so
Yes.
this isn't the proposal for the above software?
No.
Do we have a proposal for the above software?
No, I got it already.
Oh, we already purchased it.
Yeah. 'Cause it's just replacing the one that we have.
No net difference.
Do you want to go to that proposal now? Or, okay. So last time I also mentioned that we wanted to look into getting a new website. So this is the proposal for that. The vendor is Final Site. And they have a lot of nice features. So you can feel free to look through this proposal. But I will go down to the pricing that Glenn was referring to. Okay. So actually, This pricing is also in line with what we're currently paying for our website. Our annual cost right now for the website, I believe, is actually like $8,300. So it comes in just under that for the first year. And then it does increase a little over a 5-year subscription, but we're also getting a lot more than, what we currently have. So it's kind of get what you pay for sort of situation. I did want to share really quick. Switch computer here. So this is like one of their example websites, and it lets you kind of put some of your information in so you can kind of get a look. So I put our color scheme in as well as, the T in Torrington Public Schools. But, something along these lines, very clean layout. It's got calendars and, all those things that we always use on the website. It's got 24-hour support as well. There are a few additional features that are add-ons. So this was one of them. It's they won't let me do it in the demo. But basically this little thing down here where it says English would pop up and you'd be able to display the website in any language of your choice. And it will translate everything on the page. And then also you can specify like certain documents to show up. So if you've looked at our website right now, we have kindergarten registration, English and Spanish side by side. So with this, if you were to flip the language to Spanish, it would only show you the Spanish document that we have. And you can do that for any language that they offer. Give you an example of like a few more layouts that they have. Just, very clean looking and lots of photos, things of that sort. An example of a district that uses this right now is Subcommittee Public Schools. I graduated from there, so I just figured I'd use them as an example. But, they have a very nice website. They've got links to their athletic, and registration is right at the front centerfold. I believe, see if it'll pop up if I refresh. They even have like a pop-up saying like, hey, final kindergarten screening session. So just, nice little notifications that pop out at your user when they first log in or first, open the website. And, just a overall updated look compared to what we're working with right now. Are there any questions?
You mentioned any language, but the annual subscription widget says up to 5 languages. Well, that's my question.
He displayed much more than 5 languages to me in the demo.
It's up to 5 for the $1,000 a year. I did look at
Probably
the selling
more.
thing,
Yeah,
and you have to pick the 5, so they do offer a variety.
gotcha.
But I would want to know if, seeing Ms. Creedy's presentation about the diversity of our district.
Right.
Our current website does 10. Or at least shows 10, whether they work or not, it's a different story, but it does show 10 languages.
Yeah.
If it was right or wrong, I couldn't tell you, I don't speak any of those other languages, but I think I would be interested to know if we can get that addition. I would hate to give away additional reach to our families, given the diversity that the screen is showing.
They did say that their websites do work pretty well with Google Translate. So if we didn't want to go with the option that, at least there is that sort of bridge. But it's just a little extra. Like I said, it gives it almost like a little subdomain. So it would be like for Spanish, it would probably be like sp.torrington.org.
Sure.
So
That's
then you could,
right?
right. Or, French FR Torrington. So, but if that's an option that you guys would want to include, I could just go back and ask him to include that in a quote. And
I don't know what the rest of the board thinks, but I would I wouldn't want to have less languages available, given that the nice report we had at school improvement a few months ago.
There's also, on the proposal, there's like a, can't remember what it's called off the top of my head, but it's like an ADA compliance, add-on. Basically just making sure that you always have, tags on your photos and things of that sort. So if a scanner was to read the page, it would read what the photo's about, things of that sort. So that's another option.
Is
But
that the audio eye? Is that what that?
Yeah.
references?
yeah,
It's more pricey option.
yeah. But I figured, you know, I'd put it on there and whatever decision we wanted to make.
Maybe they'll throw 10 languages in for free. But buy one thing, because if they have them, you can see it's no work for them.
Right, right.
They're usually, these contracts are very similar to some of the others we see. But we're gonna give you the free one if you give us some social media stuff, and we'll give you the free build out. They kind of build it into the monthly price
This
of it.
quote was honestly really reasonable. There were some vendors we met with that wanted $50,000 up front, and it's
Absolutely.
just a little absurd to me.
But this is it's common, it's a lot of people will offer the site for free in
Yeah,
exchange for a commitment. Is it a locked in 5-year commitment, or is that the option to stay with prearranged pricing? Because we've had a number of website vendors over the years. I've only been on the board for less than 2, but I've
Yeah.
seen and heard, over the years, we've had a lot of different website vendors.
it is a locked-in commitment, and it's also with the agreement that we would be a reference district. So, others would be able to reach out to us about our use of Final Site and how we're liking it.
Are we agreeing to be nice? Well, I asked that because I've seen them before where it says you are agreeing to provide positive feedback about our company, even in year 3, if you say, this really isn't what we want it to be, we're obligated
Right.
to, they don't quite word it that way.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I'm not sure. I'd have to,
I could take a stab at that one because I actually met the people from Final Site at my RTM conference, and actually they had me sit down with 3 different schools that use them, and they gave the good, the bad, and the ugly, and it was really, just all laid out there. And then Final Site said, and this is how we fix the bad, and this is how we're still working on the ugly. And we're really happy for the good. But I thought it was great because that's what intrigued me about them, and I know a lot of folks use them, but they really didn't hold back. And one site from New Jersey, they just switched over because their site was, to quote their superintendent, not mine, was a hot mess. And when they switched over to Final Site, that was one of the ugly because there was so much stuff that they couldn't pull. They almost had to do a recreate for him. And so theirs was still in their infancy stages. That's why when Rachel had shared this, they weren't in one of their showcase yet, but I got to see theirs in working form, and it's really cool. I mean, the stuff that where they've taken it from to where it is now. I mean, just in a quick half-hour meeting, it was, in my opinion, at least 90% better, and it's still not final yet. So I do think they definitely, from what I've seen, they don't mind you sharing the negative. And I have no problem sharing the negative if we have a negative experience and we're asked, because I think that just helps people make informed decisions.
Yeah, not to say that we would. 5 years is a lot happens in 5
Sure.
years.
understood. I think that, almost anything is an improvement over what we're using right now. I think, it really is not user friendly on the back end whatsoever. And Sandy's shaking her head, so I feel like she knows my pain. So, and I think that a website is very, very important to a district. If somebody, a potential employee looks at our website and that's their first impression of our district, we want it to be something that's really inviting.
Yeah.
So.
Ellen, you had a question?
Well, that answered my question. Yeah, that was my question about the other people that have.
Do you remember the name of that school district?
In New Jersey,
Yeah.
it was right over, it was a wealthy area right outside of Madison, New Jersey. I don't remember the exact
I
town.
would say let's pull up their website and
Yeah.
check it out, but
Yeah.
we don't remember any of those. I'll read it.
They gave some examples in the packet too.
Yeah.
I can check
I got
that.
a question. If, because the city's website is so not user friendly also.
That would be the chair of this committee. Positioning here to do so. I think that's a great idea.
I mean, if we're all on the same.
Can't hurt
thing,
to
you could,
offer
like,
it as an email.
Talk it up, you know what I mean?
I could certainly.
I think that would be, Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. We could share that info and say this is wonderful.
I
We should
mean-
look at it.
We get a referral discount for that.
Absolutely. That would be the good piece of that.
Yeah.
Yes. No, I agree. I think that's a good partnership too, to help them.
Right, and it would, we're helping
No, I think so.
see it
too.
as we're working together.
What would be the time to live, Rachel, for, what if you said go next month or whatever, what would be their time to live?
So that is the thing. It would be a little time sensitive because our subscription for our current website is up June 30th. So it is, yeah, it's kind of a crunch. And he said that we could make it happen if we wanted to. So it's really just on us to make a decision to move forward.
It's already in our budget.
Yes.
Okay.
I like it. I like simple.
Yeah.
Well, I was on their website about a month ago. It took me like half an hour to find what I was trying to do. I don't remember what it was, but I just couldn't find what I was digging for.
Right.
I like something I go to, click, ding, done.
Right.
Yeah, and that's what this does for us. 100%.
And our website now is more user friendly than the city website.
Oh, yes.
Right, which is terrible.
Absolutely, yeah.
Just as bad. Or the city says it's just.
Yeah. Yeah. Surf payments. Terra payments.
I said, what's next?
And it's even worse when you're trying to do it on your phone, 'cause you're not able to hit buttons. You know?
Good. Any other questions on the website update?
Especially I looked at the New Hartford Central one that was on their website. They have 11, 12 different languages on there.
Oh, yeah.
So it's something,
They can throw it in.
Yeah, yeah. It was probably just like the first tier of the add-on that he put on the proposal or something. So I was gonna say, he definitely showed me more than 5 in the demo. So, okay, thank you.
All right, protection plan update.
Okay, this one's just short and simple. I'm about like 95% there. So I would like to send it out to the board, probably next week, for review, and then we can discuss it at next meeting. I think that some of the ideas that I've gathered from other districts are really going to benefit our demographic. And hoping that everybody will agree on that. And if there's any questions about it, when I send it out, please feel free to just email me back and let me know what they are and I'll answer them best I can.
Thank you. Cool. Any questions there? No? All right, facilities.
Okay, we have a presentation today. Our virtual commission, we have Brent from Siemens. Give us a second to set up here, or?
Yeah, whichever, if I can forward you something, or if I can connect via HDMI or hop on Zoom even.
Yeah, if you wanna hop on the Zoom, that is.
Just a couple of slides.
Control your own.
Yeah, that would be perfect.
So this is something that we talked about last meeting, and fortunately, we were able to get the information on that. It's just one of the middle
I was
school.
gonna say,
Having to do with, making some changes, adjustments to the HVAC system over there that will help save energy costs. So he's gonna present some of the changes, what they are, what the energy costs are, savings are.
yeah,
Scope of work, what it is, and then some financing that's available. Things of that nature. So it's in conjunction with Siemens, Eversource, and I won't take your name, who else?
Resource innovation.
Resource Innovation, sure.
Party engineering.
Yeah, so there's 3 like entities into this that are working together.
Just, did we ever get the answer? Wait, you and I talked about the end of the last meeting about the incomplete project, because there was a.
Yes, yes. So the answer is, it's there. The old system is on the old computer. The guy running the show wasn't comfortable enough at the time to switch over to the new system. but it's there available, so it's kind of layered on top of it.
Is it
Maybe you
configured
can
ready?
explain this a little bit better, you know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
Yeah,
Object versus insight.
yeah, I'll let, but that's the reason why, it's just a matter of, I think we decided not to go with it, not as opposed to them. And it's there to be used as soon as we kind of say, let's start using it. But I'm gonna let him clarify that.
Okay.
Okay.
And that's part of what this project is too. We'd love to take a little bit of time and get everybody fully trained and operational on the new system. Dean was right. The new system is there. It's running, it's controlling stuff. It's on the new front end. You guys are welcome to decommission the old system. If that isn't, it is legacy equipment, but everything is up and running. We will be building out this new stuff on the new system. And then as a part of this project, any of your operators, yourself, anyone else even interested, we can get training on the new system. So just, quick, couple of slides for you, just trying to introduce the project, what we've been working on the last couple of years, putting together for you. Quick agenda, what's involved, quick scope of work summary, what we're actually going to be installing and what the end goal is. Quick project financial summary, just kind of give you the bottom line of this. Looks like a really, really good project to save you guys some energy, get some old infrastructure upgraded, and really do a good job of upgrading that middle school. And then questions in closing, I'll leave you guys with some contact info. And if anybody has any further questions, feel free to give me a shout. I'm more than happy to type up, a summary in an email of kind of what we talked about today, get you copies of the proposals. We're kind of an open book. It's just much information to have you make a good decision. So first slide, project partners. Siemens Smart Infrastructure, we're a building technologies company, HVAC controls, fire alarm security, energy, analysis services, anything to help you guys run your facilities. We have the capability and know how to help you manage. Another partner is Resource Innovations, who is a technical advisor for Eversource. They're a third-party engineering firm. They come out in the field with us, help us identify a lot of these energy savings measures. They do third-party engineering reviews. They're doing all the calculations, all the complicated weather analyses, all the energy analyses to get you an incentive package and a savings package. Basically, what will say that you will save on some of these measures that we're going to install. And then obviously Eversource needs no introduction. I think Chad might be on the call from Eversource if you want to chime in.
Yep. How's it going? Chad McGool's Eversource. I'm the energy efficiency consultant. So I was putting together the agreement package that we had sent over to Dean, and I'll be assisting along the way throughout the project.
Yep. So he's helped us both identify some of those measures and do all the calculations and the financial incentives for the project. And then obviously none of us would be here without you guys. It started with John Barlow a year and a half ago, 2 years ago now, with that upgrade project. So we went ahead, did that installation, mentioned to him that, we're only doing an upgrade to the controls. There's a lot of, legacy systems and equipment you guys have in those schools. So why don't we at the same time take a look at some of those systems? So over the course of the last year, we identified some of those legacy systems, air handling units, terminal devices that kind of control how the air moves through the building. All that requires power, and it's all older stuff. It's 20, 30-year-old vintage. So it's important to, as technology advances, upgrade some of that stuff. Thank you. So here's just a list of ECMs. So ECMs are energy conservation measures, things that we walked through the entire middle school, identifying that we could make enhancements to with the goal of saving energy and creating a better indoor, air environment for students, faculty, and staff. So ECM 1 is using the new system to schedule the operations of your air handling units. Currently, the operations of those air handling units don't match the operational schedule. So you're running, pretty energy demanding equipment outside of scheduled school hours. So it makes a lot more sense to tailor that schedule to when the building's actually going to be occupied. When you're going to be in there. We account for things like summer programs. We're making sure that anytime people are in the building using that space, we're conditioning the air correctly. But we don't want to be wasting energy and running stuff. It's like leaving your, your house with the lights on and the AC cranked down to 62, and a lot of benefits to that. So similar to ECM1, ECM2 is implementing kind of an optimal start stop. So the system today is intelligent enough to know when to kick the equipment on to meet the set point needs. So, when you come in the morning at 7 o'clock, you want that space conditioned and comfortable and ready to go. This is a kind of a learning strategy that the control system does to kick the equipment on at a time to deliver when you guys walk in that conditioned air. So ECM3 is going to be restoring the economizer functionality. So a lot of those air handling units were run at higher outdoor air intakes to combat COVID. Without intelligent controls, we had dampers stuck open, wired open, a lot of stuff done to combat that initial, COVID issue. And now that we're a little bit past that, we're able to program in the air handling units to take in the right amount of air for the space that we need. So economizing, we're going to be taking in, on a 60-degree day, instead of taking in a little bit of air, we're trying to recondition the air in the space. We'll actually take in, comfortable 60-degree air on a greater rate, and it'll help you meet your set points with a little less energy usage. ECM4 is adjusting the fan speeds based off of the temperature set points. So today it's just kind of an on-off. You're running that fan as at full horsepower load. We're going to be installing a device that will be able to modulate that load. So instead of running your car at wide open throttle everywhere you go and letting off the gas, we can actually modulate that throttle now. That's the kind of technology that we're going to be installing. Is something that's so basic on the outside world, but it's a recent advancement in HVAC control. And then another one implementing ECM5 is implementing demand control ventilation. So here we'll have a CO2 sensor in your auditorium, your gymnasium, and your cafeteria to read the CO2 parts per million in the space. It kind of identifies how many people are there. As that CO2 level increases, we're going to circulate more air through the space. As it decreases, so nobody's using the gym, there's no sense in running that air handling equipment wide open. So we will tailor that to ASHRAE guidelines. We're listening to what the engineers say for that. And then another big one is converting that chiller plant control to Siemens, getting it on the system. So right now your new Siemens system is not controlling your AC in the building. It's controlling the air moving equipment, but not the actual production of that cooling energy. So there are inherent energy savings, very similar to modulating that gas pedal instead of flipping a switch, letting it run, and then trying to come back and flip that switch off. Anytime we can match your demand, so it gets hot out, it's going to need more load on the system. We want to match the production to that instead of just ramping production and then hoping it covers everything. So those are the 6 ECMs that Siemens, Eversource, and Resource Innovations identified. If we want to hop to the next slide, we'll give you a look at some of the costs. So I took this right out of, it's tough to read. I took this right out of Eversource's LOA. So Chad, do you want to talk to the process a little bit about how we get to an LOA and how Eversource issues that paperwork and incentives and all that stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. So essentially, Resource Innovations, they did an investigation and gave us this master list of findings, which is the top chart here, which shows the savings, which our internal engineers also take a look at and verify. So we put together this chart. The incentive is calculated based off of a 50 cents per kWh saved, up to 50% of the cost of the project. So that would be the incentive you see on the right side there, split out between electric and gas, depending on the measure's savings. So we take this, we put it into the letter of agreement, which is a contract between us and Torrington, essentially saying if you install these measures, this incentive will be paid if they are installed as proposed. So once that is signed, essentially you're good to begin the work. And then I don't know if you want to get into the the completion of the project process, but once it's done, we will verify that the measures were installed as proposed, that the savings is in fact true, and then we can issue the financing paperwork and close out the project.
Yep, so a lot of math. We'll get you guys copy proposals that breaks down all these financials. You're happy to reach out to myself or Chad if you have questions about any of this stuff. You know, we ran through it with Dina a handful of times, you know, having different people come on, talk about the process. I think bottom line, you know, summarizing these two charts, we're looking at a total project cost of about $340,000 for all of the ECMs. The total project incentive, as of right now, that Eversource is offering is $140,000 to you guys to do this project, implement everything, get it all measured and verified. And then we're looking at a simple net payback of under 2 years, with a 0% on-bill financing available from Eversource. One of the caveats is that we haven't finalized the chiller control measure yet. We need to do some studies between now. I don't know if we've made any progress on getting them back over there yet, Chad, but now in July to do some trending and analysis on that chiller plant to get you solidified savings and incentives numbers. But using some estimates from a high level, the first engineering review, we should be still well within. If you look at your estimated ROI in the bottom right corner of that bottom graph, it's a year and a little bit, year and a quarter payback.
Can I just, but if I look at ECM 4, which is the bulk, isn't that telling you it's going to be 12 years before?
Yes, so that measure itself is a 12-year measure. The entire project rolls up to a year and a quarter. That is the heaviest lift. That's new equipment on all of the air handlers throughout the school to better modulate the air throughout the school. So if we wanted to boil it down to best ROI, we would take that out. If we wanted to boil it down to best benefit, that would stay in there. That's functionally changing the way we manage the air through the school. And it's also setting you guys up for, as a part, not as a part of this project, but further down the road, better indoor air quality control. So it's not something that Eversource is necessarily focused on because they want efficient buildings. And we always do everything to ASHRAE guidelines, you know, all the CO2 measures, indoor air quality that they require. But down the road, as you guys do your indoor air quality audits, this additional level of control kind of paves the way for some of the changes that they'll likely recommend. So this is a really good base to be able to implement some of those other changes. And we can, you know, I can show you the full scope of work. It's new equipment on, you know, all the air handling units, all new network run throughout the school. That is the biggest benefit, and the reason it's still included in this project is that the functional life of that equipment is 20 years, I think. So you're still paying back before the, you know, what ASHRAE considers the useful life of equipment.
No, I think this is a great program. I was in a couple meetings. I was more asking on the board's behalf. I just want them to understand how you get from a to, even though the bulk of it doesn't look like it's going to get paid back for 13 years.
Jack, I don't know if you plan on touching on this, future use, in other words, advancements. I know that you mentioned there's a module you guys are working on. I think it'd be good for the board to hear as far as contaminants in the air and being able to monitor and adjust it. I know you hit on it a little bit, but just give a little detail on that because it was very interesting.
Yep. So there's a new sensor. Actually, I mean, technology is changing at such a crazy pace. It came about because of the COVID crisis. They were trying to shrink a air quality sensor down to fit into your phone. Samsung was actually leading the development charge on that. They couldn't get it quite that small, but they got it small enough to be able to stick on a wall. So it's a think like indoor air quality monitor that reports on everything from particulate size, VOCs, which is the off-gassing of construction materials, of cleaning supplies. So this sensor you can stick in a boardroom like this and modulate the airflow, right? Once you have the sensor, we can tell from the data what's happening. we're then able to modulate airflow and adapt to that data that we now know. So it goes down to picking up COVID and flu particles, as well as CO from buses running outside windows. That's not something that again necessarily Eversource is concerned with, that level of control and data and all that stuff. But it is something that as you guys work through the indoor air quality mandates from the state, that's something that they'll be likely taking a look at, as your air change rates, your particulate counts, your CO2 in classrooms, all that stuff. I mean, even simple CO2 control, like we're doing in the auditorium, gym, and cafeteria. There are studies linked to better test scores when you have a lower particle count of CO2. I don't know the exact figures offhand, but when you can get under that 1,200 parts per million, test scores have a statistical significant increase across standardized testing. So that is the next step. This is kind of step one.
Yeah, that's what I meant by future. It's got the capabilities of handling this new stuff coming down the road that is going to address a lot of the indoor air quality stuff that we've been talking about also, right? So we have that other component we're going to talk about later on a little bit, but this works hand in hand with it. Could enhance it, could get us a little bit more forward in it, instead of going backwards. We did
It's all really good stuff. It's upgrading, mechanical equipment that's often overlooked, with a great financial vehicle behind it. That's the main goal. Let's get you guys going in a great direction.
Excellent.
And then I guess the last step is just contact info. I can get everybody a copy either of this, the very simple pitch deck. But if you guys have any questions, my email's there, phone call, give me a call whenever. I'm more than happy to chat about all this stuff. I nerd out about it a little bit.
Me too.
Can we just go through the financing, and are we just gonna see it on our bill?
Yeah.
Real quickly, just.
Absolutely. Chad, would you like to kind of talk to that 0% financing?
Yeah, sure thing. So for our financing, we can finance up to $1 million per project. This is obviously under that, so it'd be no issue. You can do a maximum of a 5-year term. Obviously, the payback, as you saw, was all lower. We can shorten that term, to get you to more of a cash neutral payment plan, but it would be a maximum of 5 months. It's on bill, so you'll just see that as another line item on the Torrington Middle School's bill. Just say loan balance, and you'll just pay that every month. The paperwork will be handled at the end of the project, and pretty much as simple as that.
Yeah, they do make it easy. It's another way that Eversource kind of incentivizes. They want you to do these projects. It lowers their demand, and then obviously get some great infrastructure upgrades. For you guys, that's a very attractive. It's for all municipal. See, all municipal facilities and state stuff too. Chad.
Yep.
Thanks, Chad.
Yeah, and I know, just a reference, I know Torrington did a big project at some town buildings. I think that completed last year. It took advantage of the exact same thing, the financing program. So.
All right, any questions? Start with you.
I'm gonna have a couple. Are we touching any equipment that is at the end of its useful service life? The building's 30 years old now. I'm not sure if it's replacement scheduled. You might be more familiar than me, but this is a lot of modules on units that if you were to buy a new unit would already have these things. So variable speeds, not new, but it's new to an old unit. So does anybody have a sense for how much of the old equipment, how much equipment we're touching that somebody's going to come back and say we have a capital project in 5 years we need to replace?
I don't have the exact ages of all that stuff. I can get it to you. I don't have it on me, but I would say that there are 2 ways you can specify units. So if you were, had to order a new air handling unit, for example, you can specify those today without variable speed drives. It is code mandated. I think Chad would know better that you do install one, but this is on anything over, is it over 5 horsepower? I know that's our line for energy efficiency, but
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
But you are not duplicating efforts in the way that you're buying this piece of equipment. You can specify a new unit without, and it's just that simple electrical connection. So it's not like you are putting new equipment on old equipment and then throwing the whole thing out. Your new equipment, you can specify without, and obviously there's a cost savings there.
Sure.
So that is, kind of my answer. I don't know the exact ages and I can get you the exact ages. It's in our full resource innovations report. But it won't be, a wasted effort or wasted capital for you guys.
So what happened a lot so the hydronic industry jumped on this earlier, so a lot of our schools have got VFDs. So that's the control that controls the pump.
Yep.
Your pump, your motor's got to be able to handle the variable frequency drive. So when you buy this new piece of equipment in capital, that's going to be able to handle the frequency drive that's on the wall. I'm just using that for an example because it's not, some are built on top of each other, but to look at it a little clearer, the VFD does one thing to control the motor over here. It's kind of like your gas pedal as opposed to the engine. Yes. Your gas pedal controls the engine. Same thing. You don't have to change your gas pedal and change your engine.
I guess.
Okay, so that's, I guess that's, if it's clear on that, but.
And for the chiller plant, it's a brand new chiller plant. We're just adding controls to that. So that's not going anywhere. It's just, I think it was some of the terminal equipment was a little bit older and then some of the air handling units, not all of them. But I can get you exact answers.
Yeah, I'm not even just working. Is there a list of ones that are, 20+ years old that
Well, the building is old, so the chiller's newer, but most of the stuff in there is,
is on the?
yeah, I mean, I'd really have to dig deep. We did a study, so they can tell me better than I was able to
The
tell.
report may have it. So I'll take a look and I can get that over to you too.
Okay, and my second question is, now that I can see the numbers in front of me, ECM4. Taking ECM4 out, does that impact our Eversource viability for the project? Because ECM4 makes, zero financial sense.
I don't think so. Chad, you would have the answer. I don't know. So just because the ROI doesn't pay back, it may save enough electric and gas usage that it needs to be in there for it to qualify as a comprehensive holistic project. I can get that answer for you. But they look at KW saved and they look at, I think, CCF saved. So even though the payback isn't there, there's a big chunk of, you could see annual KWH savings, 60,000, and then I guess gas is only 2,000, but
Yeah, it's pretty small. The percentage wise of the total.
of the cost.
Percentage wise of the cost, it's like
Yep.
70.
Yep.
And percentage of the savings, it's like 12%.
Yep.
So I also wonder, sometimes these charts are drawn out such that the savings build on each other. So if we don't modulate the air handler fan speeds, does ECM 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6, are those savings based on us having completed 4? Because sometimes when you don't do a piece of the project, you don't get the savings in the other proposals.
Yep.
Scheduling and operation of the AHUs saves a bunch, but does it save more? Does it save less? What happens when you don't modulate those fan speeds? Because it's a huge chunk of money asking the board to spend. I get it, that there's a reimbursement, but
Yep.
If you looked at this and somebody said, you can spend this much money, your car's gonna last another 12 years, to your point, most people would say, not a chance. But I'm with you. If it needs to be in there and it's part of it, I would want to know that.
I can ask. I don't have that. I don't think, Chad, you have that answer off the top of your head as far as it's the way the program works. So to get that incentive, that's part of it. And there's also a ton of functionality associated with that. But I'm not sure exactly how that stacks, how they did the calculations. I can take a look. Absolutely.
And again, this ties very, very closely to the indoor air quality that we're probably going to be mandated to do. Once we get our reviews in, they're probably going to say, you must have this amount of air, your fan speed and all that stuff. And I'm not saying it is, but chances are it's going to have a huge impact with this being done on stuff that we're going to be mandated to do. Anyway.
Yeah, I'm fully in support of.
Yeah, no, I got what you're
Project number 4 is just the one.
Yeah.
What type of granularity do we have in these classrooms? Your air handler obviously services a number of classrooms. Do we have dampers in every room that are now going to be electronically controlled based on occupancy, or how does that?
So it's more about, so we do have, electronic control throughout for all those dampers and everything. It's more about matching the output of that unit. So, it's like having that 500 horsepower engine. You're to meet a few degrees set point change. Right now it's temperature based. you're flooring that 500 horsepower engine and kicking it right back off.
Short cycle.
Once they start to mandate, some of the indoor air quality stuff, or we want tighter control, the indoor, temperature or CO2 or, any of these other variables, we want to be able to just kind of feather that throttle. It's better on the equipment and it obviously saves a lot of energy. The downside is it takes another piece of equipment next to that equipment. So, this is something that it's mandated by code now. We would recommend you do anyway. We just were able to find a bunch of really quick payback measures to package that together. It is a heavy lift. There is a lot of equipment going in. We're touching 20 out of 21 air handlers, and networking the whole thing. So it's home run to all our control panels. So it will prolong equipment life. It will lead to the next stage once the state does mandate some of that indoor air quality stuff. It is much better, especially when you have multiple variables you're trying to control at once. You're trying to control for temperature, humidity, CO2, VOCs, parts per million. At any time, you're very carefully balancing the operation of that with these drives instead of punching the thing on and off.
Sure, obviously, a longer run time will help with that filtration versus a quick burst.
Yeah,
Yeah, I get it. Thank you for the clarification.
Yeah.
Ellen?
Quick question, what happens to the old equipment that is no longer useful?
I don't think we're removing.
We're just
We're just
There's
upgrading.
nothing.
Yep.
Upgrading.
Yeah, just additional, there's additional equipment, I guess,
Right.
instead of upgrading.
Yeah, yeah.
You do have to upgrade, it'll match them.
With the addition, it upgrades.
Yep.
And you guys are more than welcome to retain. I mean, if we take anything off, it's relays, it's parts, it's pieces,
Yeah.
all that stuff. You guys, whatever at his
No, you can
purview.
get rid of it.
Yeah, it's perfect. We can fill your stock room if you like.
Thank you.
Back to Jeffrey.
One last question. So the financing of this, is the whole project done and all the Eversource money's committed to us? So the net price of this project looks to be about $200,000. So that whole thing is committed and done, all the vendors are paid, and then Eversource is financing us for 2 years at 0%? Or is there an interest rate involved in there? Does it fall under their energy efficiency program where you get basically zero financing?
So that's where I'll let Chad, if you'd like to.
Yeah, so you would finance the whole 230 at 0% on bill.
So I think that's what Eversource does all their
230?
Thought it was 200.
I see 200 at the bottom here.
Um,
340 and 140.
yeah. Well, net install cost of 230. 340.
340 minus 140 is 200.
Yeah, we'll get you it's in the proposal and we'll get you the copies of their official LOA. One of the not fully nailed down parts is that chiller control. We need a couple extra months to do that. But the incentive is only likely to increase. Doesn't go backwards. What you have in incentive monies today from Eversource is locked in. I think Dean was able to coordinate with them. That $140,000 is earmarked for you guys, ready to go. The 340 is the absolute limit, I think, because our cost plus the measurement verification cost is the absolute limit of what the ask for the project is, barring any unforeseen construction, circumstances. And then that 140 is only going to increase with the chiller control.
Okay, so that would mean that the 230 is off the
It'll go-
table. It would be absolutely no more than 200, and we could see a further reduction.
in
Is that everybody on the lines in agreement with that statement?
Yep. Yeah. Chad, did you hear that?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Okay, so it's like $18,000 a month. Do we have guaranteed savings from this, or?
Not from Siemens, but I think from Eversource. Is your LOA considered you're not cutting a check if we come in? Yeah. Would you?
No.
It wouldn't be a reimbursement, but by the time the project is verified, signed off on, they've already done the trending and all that stuff to finalize that.
To show the percentage of reduction in utilities.
Exactly, yeah. So once everything's installed, there's a full almost 60-day measurement and verification period to make sure that we're saving what we calculated.
Great, I look forward to an updated proposal.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just have one question. So what is the time for implementation timeframe estimated?
This summer.
I'll hold you to it.
This summer, as soon as we can get proposals signed off on. I think the LOA has already been issued. The Eversource review usually takes quite a while. That's why we've been working on it so long. It's A lot of engineering, a lot of back and forth, making sure we get it right. Once the LOA is issued, it's up to you guys to commit to the proposal, us to schedule the work, get everything ordered. A lot of the material lead times that we were having issues with are, gotten a lot better, no longer an issue for a lot of stuff. So we'd love a 3-month, 3-month project window. And I think the chillers might lag because we'd like to not do those during the summer, obviously.
So you're asking us to commit to a revised proposal when it comes across with incomplete chiller data?
Yep.
Chiller data to be confirmed and verified
Yes.
in your testing window.
With the incentive, that 139,640 only going up. That's without, so we kind of presented like a worst case, financial case for it.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? No?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Chad, for joining.
Yep, thank you all.
If you guys need my contact info.
I got it. I'll
Okay.
send it out. That's perfect. Great job. Great job.
Thank you guys very much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Just got one question. Is there anything that's proprietary about Siemens?
Everything.
Yeah.
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 But they're in already. They're a BMS already in the building.
Okay, then there's other stuff there that wasn't Siemens.
Well, the control of the chiller, he didn't have full, he's still controlling it, but not at the level that he's talking about. He'd have to add his stuff to that to get it to the level we're talking about. But they control our whole BMS, and that's where Siemens right now.
So this is really a sole source type thing.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
No other companies that could do it via BACnet or anything like that.
I don't think so. Not from I've been.
Okay.
And from what I understand too, this is the package. These are the companies working together. This is, how they're presenting it.
Fair enough. Yeah. All right. Number 2. Bid and project updates.
Okay, so I have these, if you want to follow along with me. It's just my updated sheet that I do every day. I'm on it. So I'll let you pass them on if you just want to follow along on that. And I don't include this in the packet that is due because it is live. It's going every day. I'm in this thing changing things when bids come in or things change. So that's why it wasn't in for Friday. For some of the information I got today. And if I do get around to Friday, chances are I'm going to have to make adjustments when I present it to you guys on that Wednesday. So anyway. It's one I did, I've been doing the last couple of times. I've enhanced it a little bit, and cleaned it up and put some more information on there. So as you can see, what I did was anything in bold, is things that have changed from last month. The top, the Wetmore replace existing windows covering, the contract is in progress for that. Skip down a couple, the emergency light upgrade, we're going to be reviewing the bid after I go through this. Again, window coverings, contracts in progress. Remote gas emergency equipment, we completed that. We're able to get it done for about $1,849 less than the quote we got for doing it. Come to find out, we had one of the components up in the ceiling, so they didn't have to install one of the components, so it made it a lot easier and saved us a little bit of money. If you drop down to the next line, next couple of lines, you go to Volga Wetmore. Again, that is an exit sign. We'll be reviewing after we go through this. I lumped those all together as in one package and had one bid for 2 different schools. And so we'll go through that. Carpenter Media Center, contracts in progress. We just got to get it out and kind of get moving on it. I'm just trying to schedule time frame with that also. If you keep going down again, exit sign upgrade, that's we'll review that in a minute. Southwest School, exterior window caulk joint control repair.
I investigated it and I gotta get a hold of the people who put it down, Silver Petroselli and our facility study that we had. Cause I'm not sure what they're talking about. I saw a few things, but I definitely didn't see $30,000 worth of cracks, so I really need more clarification on what they, and I'm in contact with them now. The girl's on vacation and I was out last week, so we've been missing each other. But I looked at that, a couple weeks ago, so we're working on that. Our lot four at Twanford, we're waiting on the contract documents from Joel Connor, who's the architect on the job. But that is, once we get that, we're hoping possibly to get some of the structure up during the summertime. But it's definitely not gonna be done. It's gonna be one of those jobs that is going to, get it safed off, get what we can get in, and then kind of plug away at it when school's not in, or if we're able to maneuver things around. But that's really in a high traffic area, so that's gonna be a difficult one. The timing just didn't work, but we can knock it out during the summertime. What I did, so that's our capital stuff that I've been working on. What I added on this, and you can see the numbers before I go on. You can add on this. You can see the total and the difference. Right now, we're in the good for 159. So we're in pretty good shape there. If you go down to underneath turf field, that's the new stuff I added as far as just adding to my daily worksheet here is some of the stuff that we got going on that is not in capital. I know that the TMS roof is, but it's not in this year's capital. So we're waiting on some contract documents. I know that we had that presentation a couple of meetings ago with Gale Associates. So they're still working on it. They're within their time frame, their timeline. We'll be waiting to get that to kind of go over how that's going to run. Obviously, the retro commission, we just had the presentation tonight. The TMS lot 4, we worked on that. We did Burlington Construction did that. They did a great job. Major completion. We are waiting for some minor things, not on Burlington's end, that's on our end. The door operating system, Soundworks is doing that. They had to order it a couple of weeks out. So the doors there are not functional like they are. They're just wedged open at this point, which drives you crazy, but they have to be open for financial reasons, unless that mechanism is on there. So we're waiting for them to put them in. It's all rough thing. It's just a matter of installing at this point. Sped playground, we're again, majority completed. That happened this past week. So there's a playground that there was a grant for, that was a grant, and some other teachers at Torrington worked together, and we had them install that. It was installed, almost ready to be used. We're waiting on an inspection from an inspection company that may happen this weekend. We're hoping. We just got word on that. They're going to come out Saturday and do an inspection, let the kids play on it. And we have some additional stuff to do. We have an additional a new seesaw that we're going to have to install on our own. It wasn't included. But we'll be doing, we also, going to this playground, when school's out, we're going to, do a concrete walkway to it. That's not installed right now. It's still grass right now. So we had our landscaping contractor, Jesperson, he's going to donate the excavation, for that. It's probably like a 40 by 40 foot walkway from the existing concrete to the new, sped playscape, and we'll have a concrete contractor come in and pour it. But that will be after school, so we're not impacting the kids. But they can run on it now. You just run on grass. It's not running on a nice pad to get to it. But that came out. It looks great up there. They did a good job with that. So the other thing we've been working on also is the indoor air quality. Again, tied into this. I did put it out to bid for all the schools. We had a number of 150,000 in our general budget. Prices didn't quite come close. So as you can see, I got two bids on it, one for 440,000, 100 for 356,000. So I looked at it and, looking at the age of the schools, I went back to both of these guys and said, obviously, we're not going with this project. We have a budget. Can you break out the school for me? Because that mechanical system there is the oldest out of the schools that we have right now. So I want them to break that out to see if maybe we can do something and the numbers reflected there. So obviously not cheaper, but it's only one school. So that just came in yesterday. Those two numbers of, R&D came in at 60,000, CFM came in at 69,800,000. Now, this indoor air quality is just a study to tell us that you need more CFM, to tell us that your CO detectors aren't detecting, to go in and analyze the whole system to meet a criteria that isn't really defined yet. And that's the problem with this. It's not really defined yet. The state mandated it, but they didn't really figure it out yet. They're figuring it out as it goes. So we're almost better off with the high price, so we can analyze it a little bit better. And we can maybe tie it into projects like this. And also tie it into these HVAC grants, which is my next line item down there. I did get a number from B&L companies to come in and look at our schools and to help us determine what needs to be done that would be qualified for the HVAC grants that are out there. So these three things tie very closely together, and you kind of got to pick through it. And again, I'm kind of glad the numbers came in so high, because I think we're going to be better off in the long run when we can pick and choose on what we want to do with more information that we get. So this price coming in for 4 schools for 16,600, is that what it was? If I remember correctly. So $16,000 to do all schools. I just received that today. And I combed through it a little bit. I do have questions about it. I'm going to make sure everything is included that we needed in there. But I was pleasantly surprised after looking at those huge numbers for the indoor air quality study that number came in where it did. So those are kind of an update of what I've been working on. And to get to our next, any questions on that before we go into the
I do have a few.
Go ahead.
What does the Siemens guys do with their evaluation that the indoor air quality does not?
Indoor air quality is going to get probably more granular, as everybody uses this new word, on what they're looking for. It ties very closely. So I can bring you the scope of what the indoor air quality and give you the scope of this. Some stuff crosses over, but some stuff doesn't. So and the indoor air quality cares nothing about energy efficient. It's all about indoor air quality. So that's the biggest difference between the two. So you're right. A lot is crossed over. That's why I like the idea that we can hit this with the Siemens and the control, and it's almost the same scope of work. And it's almost the same scope of work, again, as some of the stuff might be covered under this HVAC grant. So there's a lot of moving parts to it that I'm trying to wade myself through.
Is our mandate still by the end of 2024 to have all schools?
So I caught wind that they're going to try to change that to 20% per year of the schools must at least have something on the books. It's too much. There's no way to do this work.
Yeah, especially a district like Waterbury or something with.
It's the same.
Or Stanford has 19 schools.
Yeah. So it's too much. I think we're in good shape. I'm going to go as far as that, especially with this going on. I almost feel like we got that school covered because of that. We don't all the way, but it's a pretty good.
I think it'd be a good question to ask these guys, what's not covered in the scope of work, Siemens scope of work. What would their cost be to cover the difference? Just those, just in the scope of work that's not covered by Siemens, what would Russell Dawson and CFM to meet compliance, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I piggyback on that. Right, related to it.
Must, I got other questions.
I'm not taking your floor.
Go ahead.
I'd be interested to know, to Glenn's point, the vendor came in and talked about the next phase, which is air quality in individual rooms. I would far rather pay to own air quality testing that may reduce, if you have air quality sensors in all the rooms, you've made the air quality tester's job easier, the fee should go down. So I wonder what the better spend is. It may be a question worth asking.
And again, that's why I kind of like the idea of not saying, hey, do all our schools right now. So we do the worst, the Vogel school, right? And then we kind of work our way to the middle school. By that point, this stuff's installed.
And we think there's an opportunity here, just too much is undefined right now as we sit here.
Yeah.
to distinguish it.
A year and a half.
But we do think there's opportunity here, you know, so we'll get there, we're just, and.
Because I don't know if you guys would be able to come up with an answer for you.
Yeah, so Dean and I are, you know, asking the same questions, we just, there's no answers right now, it's just undefined. But keep coming, in case we missed one or two.
What happens for the capital money that we had earmarked this year for that? What do we, more of a budget question, but
Say that again?
we had 150,000 earmarked for in this year's 23-24 capital budget for indoor air quality. If nothing's on the contract by the end of June, what?
No, we had $150,000 in general, not out of capital. Did you just say that? Sorry.
Yeah, wasn't in a capital
No, it's in our general.
in general? So you're good with that. You can manage it. Last question I have is the lock 4. You said doors are propped open, front doors?
No, the new doors, no, the front doors are still locked. The new doors,
Second airlock.
the second airlock doors, second doors that was just installed,
Yeah, they're propped open.
they're propped open.
The door to the office is closed
It's closed.
and locked.
Yeah, it's as secure as a road before we start the project.
What's the fire marshal thing? If they have crash bars on them, what's the?
It's rather open. Oh, because the mechanism will work even with the crash bar on there on the motorized door. So I'm guessing that it will open properly or,
When you like go to open it, it just like swings. out.
yeah, there's no like,
So there's no close or
I'm sorry,
in one leaf, there's no.
right, exactly. So the other doors could, you know, they just said,
It sounds like you got to try that, Rachel.
we did something to test. I never tried, it was a test, Mr. Hatton, I think great for them.
I was just testing the badge opener and that part's working, so.
Okay, does anybody else have any other questions on this?
Okay, so,
Try it out.
sorry, well, so on here, but the last thing I want to go over is we had a great opening. And I believe it's on the last page, if you have a hard copy, if not, it's on the computer, for our TMS logo exit light replacement. On our capital, it says, oh, it looks better, yeah, the print out came up too. Excuse me, on capital, this is on 3 different locations. And I put it all together like this is for one bid. You'll see that I took out the word emergency light and our capital said emergency light and exit light. Well, our emergency lights in these buildings don't need to be replaced. They are tied into our generator. They are a part of the lighting system. I don't know if they thought they were the old style emergency lights that were self-contained. So we took that out of scope of work. And so it's pretty much just the exit lights that we're replacing and the area of refuge lights that Volvo has. Most schools have area of refuge lights, they have signs. So the scope changed a little bit, and this place reflects all of that with my addendums and everything that we put in there. So we had 3 people, we had 7 people do a walkthrough, 3 people do the prices. Earthlight, they're out of Ellington, Eastside Electric, which is out of Huntington, and Newington Electric, that's obviously out of Newington. And there's a checklist. So they were at the pre-bid meeting, entire big package submitted. If you look at the bid page, Newington didn't have a few things in there, wasn't complete. None of them are single-based bidders. Huntington obviously is the closest, but none of them are from Torrington. In the bid specifications, they're all included in non-collusion affidavit. The initial was only done by Earthlight. The other 2 missed that. The addendum list is 12 refuge lights at Older School. Once I investigated, I saw that we needed to do these refuge lights at Older School, and I added that. Unfortunately, the low bid didn't include the proper specifications. So the specifications that I put out there was for a anodized aluminum area of refuge light.
And the reason why I did it is they're at a location that could get damaged. Where this guy submitted was a plastic version of it. So he didn't meet the spec on that. All the other specs were met. As far as what we put out there for them to do, everybody else pretty much gave me per spec. They didn't give me an or equal. But I did speak to the guy, Earthlight, and I asked him, and I told him that he missed the spec, and he said he could include that with the price he gave us. I was available because it was a good process, and I didn't want to kind of, but looking at it, the low bidder is obviously the low bidder, which is Earthlight. And a verbal, yes, I could give you the anodized aluminum one and not the plastic one. So
that addresses his not to spec line.
yes, yes. That's what that does, yeah.
And he initialed all the pages that he understands the requirements.
Yep.
Even for that anodized.
Well, that's a good point. And but he did it, but he gave me a different specification sheet. He included a specification sheet that tells me he didn't understand anything that was in there. So, yeah. So that's where we stand. So I'm looking at the board to kind of, take a look at this and give me approval for,
So what's your recommendation?
well, it is, there's a bit of a savings there, going with Earthlight. He said he could meet the spec. Again, it was verbal, and if we write the contract, we'll have to put it in there, obviously, that he does meet the spec. East side is more local than the other people, so they're closer. I don't have a particular preference on this. I would say no bid at this point, unless you had some other reason.
What's the process? I mean, because technically nobody met the requirement, right?
Right.
Technically,
So what's the proper procedure? I tried looking at policy to try and figure it out quick.
We have 3 bids.
yeah, 3 bids. It's up to us. We can pick any bid we want, regardless of low bid or not.
Or if they meet, I mean, because
Or if they need it, you can decide not to go with somebody if they didn't need it, or decide to go with somebody if they did need it.
what holds, at the end of the day, let's just say you hadn't had your conversation with Earthlight. And they came through, they've initialed all these pages agreeing to our specs.
Right.
What holds more clout? Spec sheet? Or the item per item list on the estimate?
I'm gonna have to say the item list and then the estimate, because even though he initialed it, yeah, obviously he didn't understand it. So the initial bit, because he went through an initial bit as he understood it, but he really didn't understand the spec because he went with a different. Actually, you have to take the time, right, to call your supplier and get a spec and say, oh, I want this particular light. So I would say that that would hold more clout. Not initially, but giving you the right specifications. To me, that's worth more. Because even though it wasn't an initial, he did understand what I was asking for. And that would have been the middle bit of it. You said.
Wait, let me clarify. So not initialing, but giving the right specs is more important.
I would say so.
So you're saying east side then would be more important.
I was, in my opinion, that would be more, but yes.
So your recommendation would be to east side. To go with east side.
Yes, with that rationale, my recommendation would be set. With that rationale. Well, really? And a verbal? Sorry to be so vague on this, but
It's reminding me of a conversation we had 2 months ago.
yes.
Where we eliminated,
Exactly.
flat out eliminated somebody for the sole reason they didn't okay all the pages.
Absolutely.
So I'm just trying to understand where you're sitting on this one.
Well, that's where I'm sitting in between, just because you're right. And I thought the same thing. We eliminated somebody,
Tossed them right out.
tossed them right out. The other ones met all of the spec.
Now we got two different bidders that didn't, both of them didn't meet all the spec, or all three of them didn't meet the whole thing. And I do have to say this initially, we're gonna have to clean it up. If these people are missing it, I think I gotta put it somewhere else or put bigger letters to it or something of that nature.
It's so extremely annoying when somebody puts an initial page on every single page.
Yeah.
Is that what, is that how
Yeah.
it is? Every page has an initial?
Yeah.
It's extremely annoying.
Yeah, it was there when I got here. So I'm
It means
more than willing to
something
change
about
it.
And they, well, supposedly looked at it and this is the right product. Okay, I'm initialing this. But they initialed it, but it wasn't the right product.
Right.
Well, if you have a detailed scope of work and you have products on there that say no substitutions, and you don't say or equal on it. In a scope, when you, before you write a contract, you're gonna do a scope review and go over all the items. So usually things like this will get caught in your scope review, which sounds like Dean did, and they says, and you either have your choice as a vendor. You say, my price needs to increase because I need to provide that product, or hey, my price is my price, I gotta eat the cost of the proper product. It's a tough one.
What's so difficult about initialing a page? I've never done this.
Yeah, well, you do a lot of bids and they're 300 pages long and some of them gotta be notarized, some of them don't, it gets tedious
We're not
sometimes.
talking about notarizing here, right? We're just.
I've never seen that. I don't even know.
No, it's probably 40 pages.
No, it wasn't a huge lift.
It's not huge. It's not huge. But again, we'll stick it in where it's located. Now that more people have missed it, makes me think maybe we should change it.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's in the verbiage, it's in there, and you read it once and.
it's
So,
entirely up to you guys, however your bid process wants to run, as
Yeah.
long as you follow policy.
it's one of those things.
They missed a page or they missed the whole thing?
When it's happened before,
They're supposed to initial each page.
Did they miss one or did they miss?
No,
put them all out.
they missed the
Start
page.
again.
Didn't
Yeah,
miss
so you
one.
probably just, can you narrow it down to pages and what, requote it?
We'll see what it's decided.
I don't know how it works. I don't know the rule on it, but it would seem like they both made a mistake.
Right. Which one of these?
Well, or does the process allow you to say, look,
So just, we discussed checking the initializing, right? And the context I put it in are these are individuals that you see on the highway with the van, with the, the neighborhood electrician at this level or this amount of work. They're working all day when they get home, somebody whoever took it off the paper, the advertisement, they look at the bid, they think they could do it, but they don't go through every single line and initially just because they worked 10 or 12 hours that day and they didn't want to spend another couple hours initializing every page. I understand it's in the instructions and if you want to be picked, you have to do it. But if we're at a point where all three of them don't do it, I don't know how much.
I think electrical work has to be pretty meticulous when we're talking about our buildings. I would say if they aren't meticulous enough to read the instructions, that maybe they aren't meticulous enough to do the work.
Yeah, good point.
Any other questions?
Yeah, what are we gonna do?
Well, I would just say, if I may, I think that obviously it's a tough decision and I understand the conversation back and forth. I think from a, following directions purview, we've held people accountable to that. I think the issue that is not to spec, but has been clarified via a phone call, will 100% be documented in the contract and we'll know when at that price. So that's a lock-in. So if we're looking at just all items checked and we're looking at holding the vendor accountable to the exact specs that had been requested in this, then we can easily hold Earthlight accountable via the contract because they also given Dean a verbal. Obviously, if we look at the other side of the coin and you want to go 50-50 and say, but the other group did that with the exception of not following the instruction, but did have correct in the spec, then obviously that's the differential that Dean has provided. But I think from a purely contractual legal obligation of scope of work, the 100% accountability on the not to spec could be clarified and easily done, if that's the concern. And I know that sounds even more waffly, but it's just from a contractual perspective, we could easily remedy that as opposed to, unfortunately, we cannot go back and remedy the unchecked boxes. Or else you'd have to go back out to a rebid.
Can I just say, if you're.
You're not in this meeting, you're not.
So if you've gone back to one of the contractors, give them an opportunity to look at something, do you not now have to give the other companies that same respect?
Yeah.
I don't know what the
Not
rule is.
necessarily, they had no net cost difference. It's very common for things to go, when you do a scope review, that, hey, you provided part number 1, 2, 3, 4, it's supposed to be part number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Will you honor that? And if you have no net cost difference contractually, hey, I'll provide as specified at no additional cost. You probably know that it's an easier thing to let go. Not signing a document or getting something notarized is a completely different ballgame.
If it's legit to do that, if it's legit to do what you're suggesting, which is, hey, no net cost difference, and they've agreed to it, it's a simple contract fix, I would have to agree with you.
So what this committee needs is your recommendation. So it's Earth
Yes,
Light.
yes, but my recommendation is.
We decide then on
Yep.
that. Bring it forward to the board or not.
Want to make a motion for that?
Mhm.
Make a motion to bring Earth Light to the full board
With the correct.
with the amended
contract. Yep.
with the amended contract to include specific exactly.
Yep.
I'll second that. So move second, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? None, motion passed.
Please move anything else for Rachel's stuff forward, or we wait for,
Website, yeah.
we're moving it forward. You'll end up with the language answer for us.
So you already purchased one and the other one you were.
It's the website one. Yeah,
Is that something that
I mean,
needs to be
it's-
moved forward?
It's a net, it's the same cost, it's just a
Right.
different vendor and we already have it in the budget. I mean, it's nice to have the approval of the subcommittee just to move forward with the project. It doesn't need to be moved forward to the full board. It can be for information purposes on the full board
That's what
though.
I was saying.
100% information.
That's better services and there's no net cost difference then. Absolutely, I'm okay with it.
So we can put it on information. Wonderful.
did we want to go with that language package?
Yeah, I guess I'm. I
So
probably,
that would essentially, we should do the 10 languages, but that would probably make it a net cost.
I think the 5 was like an additional 1,000, right? So that would put it a little over budget, but
don't throw it in.
I think so. too.
I think so too, but
I think.
Consult with the superintendent and the business manager
Yeah.
to see if it's.
If they want me to do the good stories. You can.
if you want to be clear, if it's
Not the bad, whoever said help us play.
With that said, any net net difference is well within your purview to make that decision on your own.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. Any other questions? I think that covers everything. So, topics for future meetings? Middle school, middle school. Middle school.
John.
So dramatic.
Rachel, what do you got for little things, standard stuff?
Yeah, social media, and then I definitely want to bring up the protection plan next time. Yeah, so like I said, I will email that out to everybody probably beginning of next week, once I've just tweaked it a little bit more. And then I can answer any questions and then I'll just present it.
Right, and Dean, I guess your standard stuff, there's anything we gotta finish up, because that's been, our next meeting is gonna be our last one of the year.
Wow.
What about that? Yeah.
These guys, right, the energy folks will have the revised proposal to it.
Sounds like it. Yeah, so, I give you this deadline, I'm sure that
Now, he wants to move though.
they want to move, right, so I'm sure we'll have it by then. And then I'll just have more, hopefully,
Let's stay on the air quality updates before I did last meeting. Well, I think that's gonna be a standing item until the end of next year.
end of calendar year 24.
Depends on the state.
End of time.
That's well said, Ellen. I think that's the perfect way to, well done. That is the
Thank you.
statement. Yes.
So
I would
Siemens
agree
update,
100%. Yes. I wouldn't deny that statement. That keeps it.
air quality and this.
That's overall.
So the proposal update
Yeah.
on there, so those three items, the proposal, Siemens updates, air quality updates. Is there anything else? Anybody?
But I need to
Do the Siemens update?
I do.
Absolutely.
So maybe I have a question. He wants to do this, right? So
Yes.
basically till next.
Still line.
You can always have a meeting in between.
Okay.
If you need one.
Yeah, well, special meeting, but we don't know when we're gonna. get that proposal.
So special meeting, it depends when you get the proposal. If we need a special meeting or not, it's just for the full board.
For July 1.
They wanted us to.
All right, motion to adjourn?
Second.
All there? Wow, all right.
Jump on that quick.
The budget committee, are we on?
We are on.
7:41 PM. Roll call, we have Jeff, Glenn, Patrick, myself. Who else? Oh, yeah, and, okay, and anyone else was here. Motion to approve the agenda,
So moved.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve the minutes,
Second.
all in favor?
So tonight, Glenn, let him misspell his name. Just a Kruger.
Oh, yeah, Ruger instead of Burger. Sorry, in the minutes.
Could be as alternate, you never know.
You wanna, amend your
I'll amend it.
approval in second?
Amendment. I'm in favor of restoration.
Any public participation? No, none. Okay, we'll move on to discussion and next steps. Monthly financials.
Sure. So thank you. One of the things I think the more boring financial committee meeting, the better, because I think things are going static and they're on track. So there's just a couple of things I'll call out before we go to the financials. Is the audit. Just want to keep everybody up to date. So the actual CRA, who's the audit firm doing the audit, actually used the term awesome describing the Board of Education on getting them the information. This was very complimentary. We're very surprised, and I do have to, Donna, Carrie, it really is a team effort. Lisa's group benefits. It's really a team effort, so it's really, really nice to see everybody coming together. So we're by no means a hurdle in the audit being completed. So I just wanted to talk about that for a second. And now I'll go over the financials like we do at every meeting. I just want to say that for the 5111 and the 5112, the certified and the non-certified, a lot of effort really goes into that. I know that we looked at the percentage column and we gauge where we should be for the year, but I also have a model that forecasts out. And on the 39 or the $38.3 million budget, we're well below like 1% deviation from actual where I think we're going to land the budget, which is really, really good. And a lot of effort also goes into that from multiple teams, especially recent days of me for hours on end, going through hours and levels and steps, and other folks too. So I know we just kind of breezed through it, but I want you to know that there is a lot of effort in there. It is the biggest piece of our budget, and we're pretty dialed in on it at this point. So a lot of the comments I have are the comments that we go through mostly every month. I'll point out on the first sheet, or on the first page, the tutors, looks like we're coming in very favorable. And again, that's because of the all services, all education services tutors, and that's coming really from the special education.
That's 5121.
I'm sorry, yes, the 5121 tutors.
Okay.
If we turn the page, again, the OT wages for clerical and custodians, which spoken about those every year. We've also taken the action of budgeting a little bit better next year to kind of make up for that over time. We also have the building use funds also that we could reclass into that account if we wanted to offset the deficit position, which we could get into as we move down. If anybody wants to stop me on the way, but I'm just going to go. So if you have any questions, I think just because you brought it up. Okay. There.
Yes.
There we go there.
The building use revenue, which was on that page 5, it's marked on the bottom. It says year to date 18,278, and then billed not received 15,000.
Yeah, 15,000 in addition to the 18,000? The 18's unbalanced, the 15 is gonna be in addition. In addition, so that's monies we collected. Yeah, okay, thank you. So as I go down to 5250, which is our tuition reimbursement, it looks like we're gonna come in with a surplus of that for the year. And the only reason I'm commenting on those in this meeting is because we're already in May, and anybody who has asked for reimbursement has kind of done so by now, I believe.
The 15th.
Yeah. Also on the unemployment compensation. At this state, it looks like we're gonna have a surplus position there. As with the severance line also. Again, the retiree insurance, which is the 5280, we know what that is. That's the amount that the retirees come and pay, and that has been reduced throughout the course of the year. The other professional services and legal and consulting fees, we do anticipate some more spending that isn't encumbered, so it might look like we're gonna come with a surplus position and those which we in fact might, we just don't think to the amount that's shown here. It's just we have some numbers encumbered that our legal firm should be able to give us. Again, if we turn the page, the substitute services.
5341.
Yeah, 5341, 5342. Going down to the down to 5510, which is the student transport, as I called out in previous months. That's the homeless, the transportation for the homeless. Just increased beyond anybody's expectations this year, so that's 95% of the deficit we have there. And again, we're hopefully going to mitigate that next year by budgeting a little bit better in that line item. I turn the page and go to Board 5. Again, the licensing and warranty contract looks like we're in a deficit position of 32,000. But you have to also look on the last part of the sheet in the 5610. I guarantee you that there is a reclass that I'll need to make because we kind of broke out items in those two line items, but some for old PO, not old POs, just POs when they were created might have just put the wrong account number in here. I just really haven't had the time. So they do offset one another a little bit, but I will get in there and actually make the classes that are needed. If the tuition in the VOAG, the 5560 we talked about throughout the year. If I go to the next page. This the 5621, the 5624, that's the natural gas and electricity, which again we talked about. That is the high school project. We're paying bills for the high school because we couldn't turn around the check, or the city couldn't turn the checks around quick enough, and we don't want to get shut off. So those are, and I speak to those almost daily, it seems, but at least once a week, because he's in here all the time. So those numbers will look better as we get towards the end of the month. If anybody has any individual questions, I'd be happy to take them.
I bet Jeff might.
I have some fast new ones. 5190, which is other salaries. What normally goes in there? On page 205.
Yeah, I know what that is, and if I had my laptop, I'd be able to tell you. So I'll get you that number right up to the meeting, Jeff.
Okay, the other one I have is update on the sewer. You mentioned you were working, there was some messages going back and forth with them last month. I wasn't sure if we had an update for this month.
Yeah, so the series, there's a couple grand there, there's a couple $1,000 that we feel as though, they might owe us, or we need a better explanation of why the bill, you know, like the meter bill, everybody knows what they're really, or have somebody explain to Dean and I exactly what is on that and why it's so different from a year before. So, in full transparency, that has fallen down the list. Not for, you know, again, in full transparency, they, after playing tag for a month, they finally did get back to me, and I do have a voicemail on my Board of Education phone that I do have to return, but it has slipped down the list a little bit, but not forgotten. So thank you for keeping me honest on that one.
Substitute teachers was an extreme increase in use of line items for our third party and long-term subs. It just was a strange increase. And we've accounted for like 20% of the total year budget in 1 month.
I will see what the increase, I didn't really notice the increase, but we all know the story with the long-term subs, that number is always gonna go higher because of the FMLA and the change in the law, so we're essentially paying.
It was just about, it was a large change from.
You know, I don't want to say anything until, I suspect I know what it is, I just don't want to say it without confirming what it is.
Of course, and the other question to subs was, if we used up 70% of our budget, but our fill rate is still, you know, in the 40s, is that something we have to consider? And the follow-up to that one to save you that is, where do we put the teachers who, we have a 35% fill rate using our own internal staff, people who retired, which is an awesome program and I love it, but I can't figure out where they go. Where they're not hired, we're not using, and forgive me for forgetting the name of the third party we use for staff fulfillment for ESS. ESS, but we don't get them from ESS. We avoid that fee because they work directly for us, but I wasn't able to figure out where they go in the budget.
I will get them. I suspect I know, but again, I just, I had my laptop in front of me, to tell us, so I apologize, but I will get them.
I'll defer to Ellen for any further, or Jason.
Let me just write those down, so. Okay,
Jason,
I'm ready.
Summer school budgeting, other than transportation, where does summer school budgeting come out of? And with,
It's just, let me answer as you go. Yes, this is just one level up. Again, I don't have my one, but I have the line items, page line items, so, like under student transportation. I'm just gonna use an example, I want to get the right,
what number?
I'm just trying to remember the name right now, so I could see. Okay, so under student transport, 5510, there's like 5 different subgroups under there. One of them is summer school transportation, one of them is homeless transportation, blah, blah, blah. So you're asking where summer school transportation,
not transportation necessarily, but just like
summer school stuff, yes.
So that is, I see the transport summer school, but like, yeah, the salaries for teachers and stuff like that.
Right, so under 5111, under 5111, below 1531, they would say summer school. So there's another level of detail.
Okay. And the reason why I bring that up is I know that decisions are being made in regards to summer school, and the policy is very robust policy on failures and stuff. And if there's any overage, can any of that overage go to increase the number of students that potentially are enrolled in summer school?
Overage in
general budget. If we have any kind of an overage, is it possible that any
over this year that we use for next year's summer school?
Surplus. You're saying.
Oh, that's right, because because summer school is through next year's budget,
Next
right?
year, right.
Okay. No, but
You're saying.
you know, to answer that, yeah, that's what did I say? I meant surplus.
I know what you meant. I know what you meant.
Yeah, but that's right, because it starts after July first, so.
Right.
There are a couple line items that were totally missed in summer school and were not budgeted for in this current year's budget. Which I made sure in next year's budget. So if we were to get more children, which would be a great thing, I think we would have the money to cover them because we did take a good look at the summer school budget because of what happened. And I know we had lengthy conversations with Laura and Sue and so I think if you have a concern there, I think we're gonna be okay next year.
Okay.
Or this summer.
And then just as it's going to be twofold. First of all, thank you for the T-shirts that we all received and having the buzz as the teacher rep. There's a lot of questions on where that money came from, and because as the T-shirts are coming out just shortly after, some people unfortunately got pink slips, and so I think just to put on record. Yep. Where that, and I'm sure that it was some very.
It's a great question. Those were purchased obviously earlier on. A lot of thought went into obviously the design and the purchase, but we were able to fund that through grant.
That's what I figured, and that's what I've been saying.
Community involvement in a spirit grant kind of grant, so we were able to fund it through grant. So that's a great question. I have no problem putting it on the open.
Yep.
Questions? Okay, thank you.
You and Jeff, I'll get back to you.
Yeah, you answered all my questions that I had. Okay, 24-25 budget.
Yeah, what did,
I mean, you.
well, it hasn't changed and it won't change until I think the state gets ratified now, and then the city. You all probably know the process better than I do, but excuse me. We won't make any changes or have a quasi workshop or whatever we did last year until we get the number from the city and have to adjust our budget.
So we're still waiting.
Yeah.
Contracts.
Yes,
So
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
in the same spirit of you sending out the email inviting staff to the joint meeting, I know that looking at the city calendar, that there's a lot of different budget meetings that are taking place either through Board of Finance or City Council. If there's any once agendas come up that could potentially affect, can we get that out there? Because I know that there are teachers who at that special Board of Ed meeting that received those budgetary non-renewals, they very well may want to make some comments to try and help save their position. So I'm putting it out there in our own personal social media groups, but I think coming from the Board of Ed would really be helpful. Absolutely.
Jason, will the TEA be getting people out to that to make the TEA statement, or are you just having?
It's been individuals. Sandy's here. She knows that I go and make those comments. That would be a request that we would have to make to the TEA to make that public statement. I think
It seems like it would be stronger coming from people who were not necessarily affected personally.
True.
In addition to people.
True. And I will pass that along to Sandy. Yep.
Speaking, piggybacking off Jason, finding out those dates for those meetings, sometimes we don't hear about them until last minute, but maybe we can leverage Rachel and her team and social media to get the word out to the entire community about when these city meetings are gonna happen, and we can pack that.
Certainly post them in district-wide messages.
I do have, I mean, they're posted and a lot of them have been postponed. There's just no agendas yet, so we don't know exactly the topic of conversations. And technically the mill rate has to be set before July 1st, right? I mean, the city, the mayor can go right to the 11th hour, the 11th hour, 59th minute before she makes that decision, correct?
That's my understanding.
Okay, now it's like.
And the agendas are frequently a Friday afternoon info dump.
Right. So that's, yeah, for a Tuesday or Monday meeting. So that's, yeah, so I think with many eyes on it, I think we can get the word out to our community to help support if that's what they want to do. Great idea.
Contracts?
Contracts, what I requested was any contracts that are multi-year, anything coming due now, we want to make sure they're in the next year's budget. Or if they're in this budget, if there's any impact.
Yes, thank you. So, so first, thank you for bringing this up because Mr. Pavel and I have had discussions on some of these. For instance, we looked at all of them, right? We looked at, because we wanted to get them right. Our elevator contract, we're in the middle of our landscaping contract. We're in the second year of, but it's allowing us to kind of look and see what's happening right, in our opinion, and what's happening wrong with the contract. So when they do come up next time, really have kind of an outline of things you might want to add or discuss or renegotiate.
Or if there's any issues now to take care of them.
Exactly. So the only one that we have coming due for next year. So any that are current right now are budgeted properly for next year and this year. The one that's going to be coming due next year kind of goes into the previous meeting because it's our HVAC maintenance contract. But it's good because this is one of the things that it can force us. But Dean and I were talking about, you know, how is this going to be impacted by what we're doing with this retro commissioning project and also the indoor air quality project? Because if we're going to be putting these add-ons or we're going to be putting new units or something, then, you know, we should be able, we should get a better rate on our HVAC maintenance contract. So that's the one that's out there right now, and that's the only outlier right now that we have to deal with for next year. And we currently have it in the budget next year for to the 5% increase of what the last year is.
Okay.
So we're no matter what we do, we'll be in the ballpark with the budgeted amount. But
So the contract ends June 30th?
Yeah,
Of this year?
yes.
Okay,
What else?
not 24, 25.
It must be the next year.
No, it's for.
She was just looking at it.
I got
at those numbers.
I think it's fourth grade, it's,
Make sure you don't have
no,
to, about,
24.5.
make sure you don't have to initial that bottom hit that.
24.5 was the last year, so we would have to go out to RFP next year to get it the following year, so.
Okay,
Sorry,
all right, that's okay. And then you'll just work into all this retro stuff.
yes, so I mean, it's good because it's, you know, the tentacles are everywhere with this thing and.
Okay, good. Great, thank you for going through all that. I know it's a lot, but is there anything, Rachel, in this new, whatever, can you put like contracts in and see, track them?
In the inventory system?
Yeah,
I'm not sure. It's more for like asset tracking rather than a contract.
Yeah.
per se. But I'm sure we could find something.
The Chinese contract of art.
that's a good idea.
Okay.
Some way, so we don't have to remember, we have,
Right.
you know what I mean?
Right.
And I know it's
I have a whiteboard with them. Very hard, yeah, that was great.
Even if we had like a specific calendar that was meant just to keep track of contract renewals, could do it that way too. And then you could set reminders, you know.
Yeah, these are great, but you know, I think we're almost there, you know, as we get more months under our belts.
right,
You know,
right.
because at least now we know what they are. Now we just gotta work on the start and end dates and then we'll work on the amounts and, you know, hopefully next year, the year after, we could just, name enough top departments, so.
Right, we have all.
It's
the
a great
information now.
exercise for us at this stage.
Absolutely. Anything else? Okay. On to the retro update. Well, we saw the information. We'll digest it.
I think we're waiting for that budgetary information that they're gonna sharpen their pencil on. And I think that would be appropriate to speak about, obviously, the next,
Okay.
if we'll bring it forward to the full.
Okay, so that'll be a topic for future. Along with the monthly in 24, 25, if anything comes in that. Anything else?
Can I make that? Just looking at our payroll deposit system, we still get paper deposits, and those paper deposits really don't tell us any information, especially if there's additional compensation.
What does that mean, payroll?
We got our stuff, our pay stubs, still, instead of getting them electronically, I mean,
You must have heard of.
no, I didn't, but it's been something I've mentioned in previous years. And when we do additional compensation, it's not specifying what days we're getting paid for. And so I have literally like three places that I keep track to ensure that I've gotten paid and that I've submitted for those appropriately, because it's still handwritten, turn into the secretary additional compensation slips.
Yeah, so today, matter of fact, I signed the contract to, have all those digitized, so there hopefully will be no more paper. And I'm scheduling now so the first thing happens first is we're all gonna get together and have kind of our wish list, and then they're gonna walk us through, so I don't know to what level we should get it, but I would imagine that we would be able to get it at that level. So hopefully I have a start date of July 1st. To start off the new year, so that's so hopefully we'll get it done.
Okay. And if you need any input from the teacher side on what we're missing, let me know.
I think with the phone calls, we might make emails, we kind of have an idea of what's around, but thank you for the early offer.
Anything else for future? Anyone?
We'll have Rachel's new plan for the insurance plan, which had to come to, did that come to budget last time? I think it did actually.
If there's a budgetary implication.
Correct. I don't believe there'll be a budgetary implication. It's just a change in the form. So I don't think the budget committee would need to do anything. It's just an actual change in the addendum.
Okay.
For information purposes.
Comments for the good of the order.
Happy VE Day, everybody.
That's right.
Thank you for making up my last night.
Nice job, everybody.
Happy Teacher Appreciation Week to all of my colleagues and great meeting.
Great meeting. Welcome, Lisa. She wasn't here last time, so welcome her to the team.
Thank you. Thank you. Great meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Good meeting.
Thanks.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second. Nick wrote it 9 people. Just saying.
All in favor?
Yeah, we're good.
And then